Coming up on AgweekTV, an ag economist talks about ways to help you make a profit during times when commodity prices are low. North Dakota Assistant State Climatologist Daryl Richardson is in studio to tell us what we can expect for spring planting season and beyond, and why South Dakota is seeing an increase in the number of no-till acres. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Shauna Olson. A well-respected weed expert says herbicide-resistant weeds are everyone's problem. And it's such a serious issue, it could cost some growers their livelihood. Dr. Ford Baldwin, a professor and Arkansas Extension weed specialist for 28 years, says he's seeing it happen around the country.
Weed resistance didn't just happen to bad farmers.
Dr. Ford Baldwin has been on the front lines of herbicide-resistant weeds since it became an issue in Arkansas in 2005. He was a weed scientist for the University of Arkansas Extension for nearly 30 years.
Our farmers just didn't accept it. We went through a long period of denial. We didn't make enough changes quick enough, and in 3 or 4 years we had farmers going out of business. We had land being taken away from tenants. We had landlords that couldn't rent farms to good farmers.
He says the process happened fast.
We went from seeing scattered weeds to 4 years later not putting combines in fields.
He says if growers keep doing the same thing over and over, it will happen to them. He says you need to be proactive and use the resources you have.
The best way to manage herbicide resistance, if you don't have it, is treat every field like you do have resistance, because the things you have to do to try to overcome it are the same things you need to do to prevent it. There's probably only maybe 4 companies screening for new herbicides. There's not a new one on the radar screen that anybody knows anything about, so we're probably looking at 10 to 15 years if somebody found one today that would work.
Ford says it's not just up to the farmer to turn it around. Everyone needs to get on board, from the seed companies to the bankers.
When a banker tells a farmer, you got a $35 an acre herbicide budget, he's going to go out there and put out some generic Valor cheap, try to buy some generic Flexstar or something cheap. And if we do that on a significant number of acres, we'll have 100% PPO resistance at the end of 2016, no doubt in my mind. Baldwin
also worked as a private ag consultant, and he has been a witness in several legal cases involving ag. Chemical-resistant weeds are becoming a bigger problem for sugar beet growers. According to a survey, growers are becoming less satisfied with the Roundup Ready system. Tom Peters, a sugar beet agronomist with NDSU Extension, says concerns about weeds varied around the region. He says growers in the southern region are having trouble with water hemp. In the Wilmer and Wahpeton areas, less than 25% of farmers said Roundup was their only herbicide. But in the Grand Forks and Grafton areas, more than 70% of growers said it was their only herbicide option.
A year ago, water hemp was something that we saw around Fargo, or maybe to the area south of Fargo. In 1 year, that area where water hemp could show up or be a production challenge for farmers has moved north of Grand Forks all the way to Grafton, North Dakota, which is alarming to me and amazing to me at the same time. We never expected to see the spread to occur that quickly.
Peters predicts water hemp will be into Canada by this year. National experts in ag economics were at Cornvention recently. Paul Georgi with Allendale talked about making a profit in today's market. Reporter Tracy Frank sat in on the session and has more. Tracy?
Shauna, Georgi says farmers need to take action and think globally when it comes to marketing their crops. Everybody thinks prices are going to go higher, but farmers have to protect against the downside. And there are ways using futures and options to take the risk out of their everyday business. Georgi says knowledge of marketing strategy is needed now more than ever.
Marketing is not a situation anymore where we can just grow the crop and then sell it when we harvest it. You've got to be able to sell it throughout the year. You want to sell it at the highs, not at the lows. The farmer in the last several years have been very good at marketing the crop, selling it near the highs. So let's hope that he can do that again this year.
Really hits most of us pretty hard because most of us have that attitude, oh, the market's got to go up. It has to go up. I think having a plan intact and something that's not so far outreaching was really good advice.
Georgie says exports have a tremendous impact on the bottom line. That's why farmers have to be so aware of factors like what the U.S. dollar is doing.
Thanks, Tracy. Barry Osmus, a senior economist with the National Center for Policy Analysis, spoke about economic challenges and opportunities at the recent Northern Soybean Expo. Osmus says increasing wealth around the world could mean more opportunities for U.S. farmers. And the poor people of the world don't need aid, they need trade. He says it's an interesting time for North Dakota.
One is soybeans are so very, very important, and the price is not any too good on soybeans. That's kind of problem number one. Problem two, North Dakota, a big oil state, and shale has just gone cattywampus upside down, and there's carnage in shale oil.
But Osmus says it's not over for shale and that the U.S. will be determining its own future in both oil and gas. Up next on AgweekTV, we call him the weather guru. See what he has to say about the upcoming growing season.
How did we become the region's largest independent seed company? By taking a very simple but powerful stand. We will sell no seed that we wouldn't be happy to plant on our own farm. Peterson Farm Seed. Stand tall.
Total Ag Industries is the leader in total control. Their custom-built fertilizer systems are the crown jewel of the Total Ag lineup. Total Ag systems come with a fully customizable fill system, and the variable rate hydraulic drive system works with John Deere displays for real-time feedback and complete fertilizer monitoring. Total Ag's field-tested design allows precise control and accurate application in your fields for better yields and more profit. Contact Total Ag by phone or visit totalag.com.
Oh no, look out! Oh.
You kids stay in the car. I'll be right there. Honey, I'm gonna need my Carhartts.
When you pull on a set of Carhartt Extremes from Home of Economy, it's like wrapping yourself in a suit of armor, which can come in handy because sometimes being a parent feels more like being a superhero, and battling the elements is just another part of the job. Find your Carhartt Extremes at the guaranteed lowest price, only at Home of Economy, where your dollar buys more.
Who do you call when you have grain dryer issues? His number is probably already on your phone. Guy Kittleson of American Farm Equipment, 701-793-8804. With over 35 years experience in grain dryer sales, Guy was grain dryers before grain dryers were cool. He sells and services American, Chief, and Deluxe grain dryers with capacities from 200 to 10,000 bushels per hour. Guy works on them all, but when it comes to confidence and dependability in your grain dryer, buy from Guy. Guy Kittleson, American Farm Equipment.
Drainage Solutions is experienced in the tri-state area. Their skilled employees will design, implement, and maintain the best drainage system available. Drainage Solutions uses state-of-the-art equipment along with the best data resources available to design a drainage system that they guarantee will be both efficient and cost-effective. Whether you're considering drain tile for the first time or adding to your existing drainage system, let Drainage Solutions design the most appropriate site-specific drainage for your needs.
Weather is always the wild card when it comes to agriculture. North Dakota Assistant State Climatologist Daryl Richardson is here to talk about the upcoming growing season. Tell us what you're seeing there as we head into spring and into summer.
2016 to me is going to be unique and in some ways perhaps even fascinating to watch, because we have gone from a strong El Nino, which is already weakening in the Pacific Ocean, and I think by next winter at this point we'll perhaps be in a strong La Nina. So big transition, and this will have global ramifications of the patterns. But for North Dakota and Minnesota, South Dakota, I think the Northern Plains, this probably will be a pretty good growing season if you look in the past, what has happened in similar years to what's happening now. I think we will get enough rain be a little bit above average temperatures, which is always a good thing for us, get those extra growing degree days. So there's a lot of reasons to think positive, I think, for this growing season.
A wild card is always the spring, and everyone wants to get in and start planting. What are you looking at there?
We're still going to be under an El Nino probably through about June. And the thing is, historically, with El Nino springs, we tend to have above average temperatures, March, April, and May, which means get into the fields a little earlier, number one. And number two, precipitation tends to be close to seasonal averages. Then it always becomes that wild card of timing. You know, if the rain comes at the wrong time, because it's going to rain. You know, we average almost 5 inches, depending on where you're at, 4 or 5 inches during that 2-month interval. So it's going to rain, so then it just comes down to when. I think the odds of an excessively wet May, like we had last year, is pretty low. And you don't have to really, to me, be a meteorologist. What are the odds you're going to get 2 bad ones in a row? But when you think spring, getting into the fields early this year, don't discard the fact that it's going to rain. And in fact, of course, we need that rain.
All right. Last season was a great growing season, expecting kind of the similar conditions?
In many ways, yes. I think we may start off with the moisture and then fade it slowly away, in the sense once we get into August and September, again, using many years references in the back, which I reference as analogs to this year, that drying, which would mean, okay, topsoil start to dry out, sugar beets, corn, for instance, which goes way down to get its moisture, will probably be fine. It might be a year like last year where some areas, we could really use the rain for, say, the soybeans. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have that similar scenario where things just slowly dry out and we get lesser and lesser amounts of rain as we go through the summer.
Not a lot of snow on the ground out there right now, but does that mean anything for us?
One thing about that lack of snow is we had snow 3 weeks ago. It was so warm that last week of January that we really lost that, but precipitation totals, if you go from November 1st, which I always consider the cold season, start November 1st through the end of March, that 5 months where it's pretty cold here, as our cold season, we're really running very close to average. I always remind people, we only average 1 thunderstorm worth of rain the entire winter. Most of the area is about 1.5 to about 2.25, so approximately 2 inches of rain, melted snow during the winter months. So not really having that on the ground, but we've already had it and it melted, we're really not running below average right now. So I really am not concerned. The concern always, and this is the way every spring, we can have 80 inches of snow, but if it doesn't rain in April or May, you still have some problems, of course. So it still will come down to spring rains, but we are closer to average rainfall, you know, that melted snow this winter than many folks think.
Daryl Richardson, a weather guru, North Dakota assistant state climatologist, thanks for joining us. And our farmers can follow you on Twitter, right?
Right. You can follow me at Daryl Richardson.
All right, will do. That's a look at the long-range forecasts. Coming up, we'll find out what next week holds for us. And later, no-till acres are on the rise in South Dakota. We'll find out why one grower made the big switch years ago.
North Country Marketing represents manufacturers of agricultural, light industrial, and lawn and garden equipment, and we're looking for a national service technician to join our team. Headquartered out of West Fargo, North Dakota, the right candidate will receive a competitive salary, full benefits package, paid holidays, paid vacation, retirement package, and company vehicle. Some overnight travel is required. We're looking for someone with a proven track record, 5 years of minimum experience, and a strong agricultural background. Small engine repair experience a plus. Send cover letter and resume to stu@northcountrymarketing.biz.
As a manufacturer, if you don't actually farm, there's so many places where you go wrong if you really don't have a true gut feeling for the end result. From the seed placement, fertilizer placement, packing, weigh scales, variable rates, everything that we have is put there to make you more money. At the end of the day, we guarantee that with Super Seed Guarantee.
Tightline Drainage is the Red River Valley's most trusted name for tile. Tightline uses the Port Hydromax plow and also Port Hydromax trenchers for installing our laterals and mainline accurately. The science behind drain tile proves healthier plant growth and greater yields. Tightline Drainage also sells pipes, fittings, tiling plows, landau tillage equipment, and more. Tightline Drainage is owned and operated by experienced agricultural professionals who understand the need for progressive agricultural practices. Call Tightline Drainage for a free drainage design today at 701-235-1900.
It's 3 windows in one. It's the Euro Series by Minn Kota Windows. It's a picture window. One turn of the handle and the unit tilts in for ventilation. A second turn swings the sash inward. Easy to clean from the interior and available as a window and patio door. Durable hardware allows for larger single units and tremendous safety. And of course, it's covered by the industry's best warranty. The Euro Series by Minn Kota Windows. Midwest built, Midwest tough, guaranteed for life.
Minn Kota Windows, windows for your world.
This is Dennis Beliski with exciting news. The next Grand Forks area equipment and truck auction will be indoors at the Alaris Center March 23rd. Demand for good used equipment is always strong. Buy straight out and use our auction to sell your trades or turn no longer needed units into working capital before spring planting. Strong marketing, online bidding, great facilities, and knowledgeable auctioneers will deliver the best possible returns. Decades of knowledge, steady innovation, and top results. The auction is March 23rd. Advertising deadline February 23rd.
Weather time of Ag Week now. We've got starting off with drought monitor, and as you can see, no real large areas of organized super dry conditions across the United States, which is relatively typical in wintertime. The exception to that is along the western part of the world where, although there has been some rain in California, things are still well below average in terms of reservoir levels. There's been a lot of pickup in the north, not much at all in the south so far. Jet stream this week, you notice it's been quite mild here in the northern plains and much of the Midwest the last few days. The polar jet stream has gone well up north. That will change slightly this week, but nothing too dramatic settling in. We'll lose the mildest of our air as the jet begins to come southward through the Great Lakes, but this is not going to be an Arctic push. The next couple of days look just cool to mild, mostly above average in the northern plains. There will be a little bit of cool down through the eastern and central United States, the eastern part of the Midwest. Toward the end of the week, combination of the polar jet and the southern jet building up will bring up another surge of hot weather in the southwest, but this time, because of a big trough in the east, it is not expected to spread eastward. So instead, it will just start fading away as we move toward the weekend. Overall, temperatures this week across most of the northern plains look fairly mild, a little chillier over the Midwest, but nothing really too dramatic setting up at all. And this pattern does not favor a lot of precipitation in any of the major ag regions of the country. This week, it does look like it's going to be quite wet out across the Pacific Northwest. And one difference, it looks like the rains will be getting down into the Los Angeles basin. It's not clear how heavy they'll be, but there will be some rainfall, at least down into some parts of Southern California. Fairly dry weather through the southern plains and some heat, but nothing too extreme. The south looks rainy. Last week I told you this weather system would be a little further north. Looks like it's going to stay the heaviest mostly in the southern states. There will be snows over the northeast and in the Great Lakes, but most of this not as extreme as it's been of late. Little or no precipitation in the northern plains and almost none down in the area around southeast South Dakota and Iowa. Looks pretty dry in the plain states. The second week, again, looking rainy, of course, along the Pacific Northwest coast, fairly dry in the west. Looks like Texas will start getting some substantial rains. Now, second week, we're talking into early March. Some of this could be thunderstorm and tornado activity. Meanwhile, in the northern plains, it looks like things will remain generally fairly dry. The other part of the country that bears watching this time of year, scattered light rains throughout southern Brazil. But when we get down into Argentina, some heavier rainfall in that region of the country. So the overall outlook then, most of the stormy weather in the United States will stay south of the northern plains region. Our weather will be generally mild for the rest of February and early March, and it looks like no big rain or snowstorms anywhere across the northern plains.
Commitment. You need it to succeed on the farm. It's total dedication to the land, family, and community. It's more than a way to make a living. It's a way of life. You've had it since the first time you ran your hands through the soil, helped bale hay, or rode along in the combine. Your commitment. It's as strong as your family's trust, as honest as each long day you put in, and as pure as the opportunity that comes with every tomorrow. It's how we build our bins. With proven design, superior structural integrity, a lifetime warranty, and a promise to stand with you, no matter what storms come your way. The harvest will always be protected, so you can sell when it's right for you, your family, and your farm. Commitment. It's why we can say, there's nothing standard about superior.
time to demand more. With Micro Essentials, you get more from every acre. Through our fusion technology, only Micro Essentials combines 4 vital nutrients into one powerful granule, ensuring uniform nutrient distribution and increased nutrient uptake. The innovation behind our fusion technology means you'll grow stronger, healthier plants. Micro Essentials. Get more from every acre.
In today's marketplace, maximizing your harvest is more valuable than ever. Improve the efficiency of your operation by adding a Prairie air reel to your harvester today. A continuous stream of high-velocity air quickly feeds crop back to the auger, getting your crop off the cutter bar and into the header. This minimizes shattering and reduces the amount of header loss. At harvest time, every second counts and every bean counts, so you can count on Prairie.
We believe in a fair and balanced approach to state and federal regulation. Proposed changes to OSHA's anhydrous ammonia policy, EPA's Waters of the U.S., the Clean Air Act, and endangered species are a few examples of what we are facing. The one-size approach doesn't work for North Dakota. Agriculture Commissioner Doug Goring wants to work with you to protect our state. Go to our website to see the latest issues that affect not only agriculture today, but for future generations.
AgweekTV, sponsored by Peterson Farm Seed.
The next few years could be tough ones for ag in the Great Plains. That was part of the message at the annual Northwest Farm Managers meeting in Fargo this week. Courtney Colley, an ag economist with the Federal Reserve Bank in Kansas City, told the group her statistics show farm income has continued to drop with low commodity prices and a weakening export market. But she says there's also reason to be optimistic about farm land values and farm income.
Even using pretty conservative estimates, there's likely that farmland values will just continue to moderate slightly. And then also if you look at the long term of what's happened with farm income, and USDA is now only projecting about a 2 to 3% decline in farm income, which is relatively small. And if you look at the whole historical average of real farm income, we're still just about at an average value. So even though we've declined from really extraordinary years of high farm income. So I think that the positives is that we've declined a lot, but we've really kind of declined back to a more historical normal.
The Fed shows farmland value is down 2 to 5% in the Dakotas and Minnesota this past year, after gains of 20 to 30% in prior years. On the positive side, debt-to-asset ratios are strong, which should help producers weather lower income and higher interest rates. South Dakota has recently seen a rise in acres farmed with no-till production methods. In 2015, 6.4 million acres were farmed with no-till, according to the South Dakota USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. Since 2004, acres farmed using no-till has grown 36%. Al Myron grows corn and soybeans and has been practicing no-till since 1988. He started due to concerns about water erosion, but says there's much more to it than that.
When you think about the same productivity with much less in the way of inputs, fuel cost, equipment cost, that sort of thing, the advantage generally tips toward the no-till situation.
Western South Dakota is almost all no-till, while the majority of conventional tillage in the state is found on the eastern side. Up next on AgweekTV, a new grain crop is being developed that could potentially change the way farmers think about planting.
How did we become the region's largest independent seed company? By taking a very simple but powerful stand. We will sell no seed that we wouldn't be happy to plant on our own farm. Peterson Farm Seed. Stand tall.
North Dakota soybean farmers put food on tables all over the world, including their own. That's why it's important that we produce healthy, safe, affordable food. It's also important that we keep up with demand today's farmer feeds 155 people per year. Compare that to a farmer only 2 generations ago who produced enough for just 26. Most North Dakota farms are still family-owned and operated because our care of the land that feeds the world today is our children's legacy for tomorrow.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? Agweek magazine. Reaching over 30,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. Agweek provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. Agweek. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
Upgrade your trailer to electric with the Rolltech electric system from AgriCover. Strong, flexible pivot arms and motor mount rotate and telescope, allowing the roll tube to rise and flex over heaped loads. The positive automatic lock is impossible to back off to control the flow of grain. This integrated system uses one wireless remote to operate up to 10 tarps and hoppers, keeping your driver out of the dust, rain, and harm's way. See the Rolltech system in action at an AgriCover dealer near you.
Intermediate wheatgrass, or kernza, was introduced to the U.S. to provide forage for livestock, but now it's being studied as a potential grain crop. Unlike wheat, kernza is a perennial, so it comes back every year. While it yields only about half as much as spring wheat, its benefits come in the form of lower input costs and reduced water and soil erosion due to its deep root system. This past year, Roseau County in Minnesota was one of several places around the world where kernza was grown. It's part of a collaboration between the University of Minnesota and the Land Institute of Salina, Kansas.
Basically, the development and domestication of a new crop, and we haven't had a lot of new domestication of crops in a long, long time. This is an opportune time to do it because of the new genomics technologies that are now in place that can be used to domesticate a series of new crops, and that's really what we're trying to do within the Forever Green Initiative.
The Land Institute hopes perennial grains like kernza will provide the world with greater food security while ending soil erosion and lessening our need for chemicals. Scientists there are also working on perennial forms of sunflowers and sorghum. This week's Photo of the Week comes from Keith Knutson from the Christine, North Dakota area. Beautiful shot of the sunset in the woods. Thanks, Keith. We want to see more of your pictures. Send us your best shot to photos@agweek.com. Be sure to include your name and location. Thanks for watching this week's edition of Agweek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com. We'll see you back here next week.